is going on, everybody? Welcome to another Daily Hacked. And I gotta say, Ron, that was a surprise.
Yeah, I had to give you a little bit of something.
That is so fun. All right. So one, you threw me for a loop. I forget what I'm talking about.
Gotta have a plan, Corey. Gotta have a plan.
Oh, that's right. You gotta have a plan. All right. So what do we gotta have a plan about?
You know, it's funny because you gotta have a plan in pretty much everything you try to do if you want to have success, right? It doesn't mean it has to be completely fully baked out, but you gotta have some idea of where you're going.
100%. And this is why I think a lot of entrepreneurs struggle, because they kind of go in this little bit of circle because they didn't have that full plan baked out, right? And so you and I, we try to meet once a week and figure out, because we have a lot of things that want to squirrel us. We have a lot of things that people need our attention, and we keep losing focus because we get pulled in a bunch of different directions. And I know entrepreneurs do that all the time, right? But we stop once a week, and we circle back to that plan, because we have a lot of things going on. But one piece is we have a 5-day workshop coming up.
We do have a 5-day workshop that we have to make sure we're ready to go. And if we weren't planning for that 5-day workshop, not just this week or the day before, but literally months ago, we would not have success with that.
Yeah. And we still have lots to do for it.
Oh, yeah.
And because we keep getting, pulled in different directions. But at the end of the day, you got to have a plan. So how do we do this? How does one figure out the plan? What if they don't even know their offer? What do you recommend? If they're kind of stuck and they're unsure, they have 20 different people they want to serve, they have 5 different offers they want to get out there, how do they stop and make that plan?
You got to give yourself time to make the plan. Okay. So I would, if you don't turn off notifications on your electronic devices, get a piece of paper, right? If you're a typer, turn off all notifications, really focus on a plan, right? If you don't have a coach, maybe a coach can help you, right? Don't ask someone that hasn't done what you're trying to do to help you, because you're not going to get to where you want to go. But put together a plan that makes sense for the final outcome. Start at the end and work backwards, right? We knew when we were going to launch, so we knew what stop gates we had to hit in order to hit that launch date.
Yeah, 100% agree. So we're even doing this for a lot of clients when they're like, hey, I want to make $1 million by Friday. Well, have you already made $980,000? No? Okay, you're probably not going to make $1 million. Let's circle back. But you want to make $1 million. Okay, let's work backwards and figure out what steps do we have to follow. And so again, if anybody out there is at a point where they're kind of unsure of their offer, they need to make the plan and figure out how are they going to finalize what that looks like, right? How we are all about our business intensive, and people will fill this out and then they get on a call with us and we have those answers and we go through and we basically can walk them through what that plan is, right? Yeah. But it's so key to stop and don't let the week kind of play you. You play the week and plan things out. Plan out. If you want to write a book, stop and figure out, when am I going to work on that book? It's not just going to magically happen.
No, right? Understand when you're the most creative. If you're a creative person, it might be in the morning, right? It might be in the afternoon. It might be when all the kids are in bed and that's the only time you have. But you know what? Plan accordingly. If you know you only have a half hour to do things every single day for 3 weeks, make sure your plan is put in a place where you can become successful because you've planned appropriately. Don't plan to just stress yourself out, because that's ridiculous.
Yeah. Don't put to-dos on a to-do list just to stress out, but put it there so you don't forget, and then you can make a plan on how to tackle it, right? So you and I, Ron, we've got 2 different programs that we're working on. we've got a workshop that's free that we're going to give a ton away through that workshop. And then both kind of lead to our two different programs.
Correct.
Right? And then we have a more of a high ticket coaching plan beyond that. Right? Like it's all mapped out. It's taken us like a year to get it mapped out, but it's all mapped out. And then we've got a couple of really low ticket things that we're working on too. But we had to get the core offer figured out. We had to get the plan figured out. We had to get the plan figured out how to best get this to the masses. And every little thing that we're doing is part of that plan. Every little thing that we're doing is intentional with that plan. So we have intentionally getting ready to launch a 5-day-a-week podcast, but it started with the plan.
That's right. It started by starting, right? So understand where you want to go is important, but you have to take the steps. You have to take that first step to make sure you can get to where you want to be.
All right. So number one takeaway for anybody, how do you plan? What do you do? What do you recommend for somebody to go and do today if they're at a point where they're just running in circles, they're on the treadmill and they're going nowhere? What do you recommend?
You got to get into a quiet space just for a second, and then write down the priorities of what you want to accomplish. Okay. Brain dump it a little bit.
Yeah.
And then prioritize those things and have a singular focus to move things on. I mean, you're really good at that stuff where, I'm the squirreler. I'm like, hey, let's do this and this and this and this. You're like, awesome. Let's go back to this one thing we're trying to get accomplished.
Yeah. But I mean, some people, they need to know, like, it's great to have a goal for a year or 18 months or wherever, right? Like, it's awesome to say big picture. I want to make $1 million. I want to impact 1 million lives, whatever your true big goal is. Right. But then you got to work backwards, and then you break it down into like 90-day increments. Right. And you just got to reassess each, often, whether it's once a week, once a month, whatever, once a quarter, to make sure you're on track. Yep. And so those who don't plan, right? What's the adage? You don't plan, you plan to fail. This kind of the thing.
To fail.
So, but that thing that getting into a quiet space, I want to circle up on that a little bit. What if you have people that say they just have an excuse that they can't do it? They don't have time. There's too many kids around. What do you tell them?
Man, we have kids. We started this thing with full-time jobs, right? I had a death in the family while we were launching our podcast. It was the holidays, right? And we had kids. So I understand you might not have time, but if you don't have time and you let that be an excuse, you will never get to where you want to go. Period. End of story. You have to find the time. If it's important to you to accomplish what you're trying to accomplish, you will find and make the time.
100%. And then when you make the time, be intentional with where you want to go. Be real with yourself, where you want to go. If you have a partner, be real with that person, where you want to go. And whether it's a spouse, a significant other in a relationship, or it's with a business partner, right? And so 100%, once you figure out that plan, then map out some of the little things and don't try to tackle it all at once, right? Like Ron, what's the best and fastest way to eat an elephant?
One bite at a time.
That's right. And that's the same way with your giant goal, right? One bite, one task, one to do, one thing at a time will get you to that goal. But you'll never get there if you don't got a plan.
That's right, guys. So make sure you're planning, make sure you're intentional. And we thank you for being the best part of the Hindsight Hackers community.
Bye, guys.